Welcome everyone again, and let me open the second session of our conference. The program of the session includes 4 papers concerning religious symbols in public sphere in the legal order of Poland and Hungary, with a special focus on Polish law. I would like to invite Professor Marek Bielecki as the first speaker, because due to his duties, he has to leave afterwards. Marek Bielecki is a professor of War Studies University in Warsaw, and he is also a president of the Polish Society of Law and Religion, Polskie Towarzystwo Prawa Wyznaniowego. He graduated from the Law Faculty of John Paul II Catholic University of Lublin in 2000 and obtained his PhD in 2005 at the same university. In his research, he deals with Polish law and religion, canon law, and legal history. Marek, please take the floor.
Thank you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning, I would like to thank the organizers for the opportunity to participate in this conference and to give a lecture for such a prominent group of listeners. The topic of the presentation is the presence of religious symbol in the Polish educational law. This presentation will cover 2 main parts. In the first part, I will present the historical conditions related to the presence of religious symbol in Polish school. In the second part, I will try to refer to the current normative regulation and their interpretation. Part 1, history. After the end of the World War I, Poland reappeared of the world maps after 123 years of absence. The Catholic Church, during the annexation period treated as mainstay of Polish identity, had a significant influence on social life. In the years 1980 to 1939, which are recognized as the Second Republic of Poland, Catholics and representatives of other except religious association could freely express their beliefs, and the status of the Catholic Church was respected in the Constitution of March 17, 1921. In the period between World War I and World War II, Poland was perceived as a multinational and multi-religious state. The Article 111 of the Constitution of March 17, 1921. All citizens are guaranteed the freedom of conscience and religion. No citizens may be limited in the rights which are obtainable to other citizens due to his or her religion or religious beliefs. All the inhabitants of Polish state have the right to freely express their faith both publicly and privately, and to execute their requirements to their religion or a right provided this is not conflicting to the public order or public morality. The freedom of conscience and religions was guaranteed for both Polish citizens and other people who existed in our country. The Article 114, the Roman Catholic religion, which is the religion of the great majority of the nation, occupies the leading position in the state among other equal in rights religions. According to the Article 820, in every research institute financed by the state, religious education was compulsory for young people under 18. The standard resulted is reinforcing the presence of catechesis and catechists in Polish schools. The grade for religious education was included is the average grades of the students' educational achievements and influenced the promotion to the next grade. In relation to the legal situation of the Catholic Church, and members the Concordat signed on February 10th, 1925, had a significant connotation. In the Article 13, it was assumed that in all primary school, with the exception of universities, religious education was compulsory, and it was expected to be taught by the people appointed by school authorities in agreement with the church authorities. The above-mentioned principles were also continued in the 1935 Constitution. The reality of the interwar period in which the Catholic Church was functioning made it natural for the cross and other religious symbols to be present in school buildings. This fact was widely respected regardless of political powers governing the country at any particular time. After World War II, Poland was included in the area of influence of the USSR, which automatically resulted in the change of the authorities' attitude to the presence of religious symbols in public space. The fight against the presence of religious symbols in Polish school begins in 1948. Upper Silesia becomes the area where particular anticipated solutions are tested. Crosses and other religious symbols are removed from classroom, and the Silesian school curator suggests teachers that the image of the crucified evokes bloodthirsty instincts. These activities meet with the resistance from the clergy as well as the students and the local society. There are many demonstrations and campaigns of collecting signatures for the petition addressed by the State Council. In 1956, a short-term moderation of policy takes place. The society more often demands to have an access to religion education and to set crosses in school. The number of petitions to authorities is increasing. Strikes are being taken on crosses are spontaneously placed in classrooms. The authorities tolerate these behaviors for a very short time. On August the 4th, 1958, the Minister of Education issues the curriculum concerning the execution of the principles of secularism at schools. The following activities are considered to be against the principle of the secular nature of the school: decorating schoolrooms with religious symbols, saying prayers, teachers' involvement in organizing, an opportunity for young people to participate in religious practices. Therefore, religious symbols were ordered to be removed from classrooms. The next stage of the fight for the presence of religious symbols in Polish school took place when Wojciech Jaruzelski was in power. After Solidarity was legalized in 1980, religious symbols were generally placed in Polish schools. However, the situation changed after implementing the martial law on December 13, 1981, which resulted in the certification of the Solidarity and significant restriction of civil liberties. At the beginning, on 1982, another action of removing crosses, inspired by the communist authorities, began. In the second half of 1980s, the action of removing crosses is fading. The economic crisis is expanding, so the authorities, hoping to avoid the conflict with the society, decide not to fight religious symbols. In addition, in 1988, negotiations between the government and the opposition began. The work intending to regulate the legal status of Catholic Church and other religious associations was preceded, as well as consultation with the Holy See regarding the future concordat. After the political breakthrough in 1989, catechesis, clergy, and religious symbols returned to Polish school in 1990. Current legal status. The presence of religious symbols in the Polish educational system is guarantee of religious freedom both an individual and community dimension. Regulations include both national and international legal norms. In the beginning, it is necessary to refer to the disposition contained in the Constitution of the Republic of Poland. According to Article 25, Section 2, the authorities of the Republic of Poland must stay neutral with respect to religious beliefs, world and philosophical outlook, and at the same time the freedom of an expression of these convictions in public life is guaranteed. The state, following a natural attitude towards every faith and belief should create appropriate conditions to any citizen who desires to express his or her philosophy publicly and without any complications. In addition to the duty of the state to play an active role in ensuring that citizens are able to express their beliefs in public space, the ability to display religious symbols derives from the right of freedom of conscience and religious. The Constitution, in fact, makes every person, parents, children, churches, and religious associations with a regulated legal situation entitled. Parents and legal guardians are the entities that can decide on the form of education of their children. According to Article 48, Paragraph 1 of the Constitution, parents have the right to educate their children according to their philosophy. The education should consider the level of maturity of child as well as the freedom of his her conscience, confession, and beliefs should be taken into account. Within the scope of education and bringing in accordance with parental philosophy, the right of parents to express their will regarding the presence of religious symbols on school premises is also included. It is nearly 30 years since the 14th April 1992, when the Minister of National Education issued a regulation on the condition and manner of organizing religious education in public kindergartens and schools. According to paragraph 12, it is mentioned where the crucifix can be placed in every school room, and moreover, the prayer may occur before and after every classes. Common prayer as good should be perceived an expression of the universal objectives of students as well as the manner of tact and delicacy of teachers. The above regulation uses the term crucifix. However, it should be interpreted in the light of the constitutional principle of equal rights of churches and another religious association, and is in situation where representatives of other religions attend school, they should be allowed to display a religious symbol appropriate to their confession. The current regulations sufficiently guarantee the presence of the religious symbols on school premises. However, the justice system plays a great role in shaping the content of these laws, both at national and international level. According to the verdict, the administrative court in which on the 28th of October 2008, the worldview, religious and philosophical impartiality of authorities refers to the execution of the governing function. However, this function does not refer to the internal decoration of educational buildings. According to the court, the placement of the crucifix is not forbidden neither by the Constitution, which the preamble contributes to God, nor by any of the statutory acts. The court clearly suggests that the presence of the crucifix in the buildings of a public entity, specifically school buildings, is allowed. Two decisions of the European Court of Human Rights have particularly stake in public consciousness. In the case of Lauci versus Italy, which directly addressed the presence of crosses and school premises. In Poland, since year 2013, there has been a case in the media coverage of a mathematician teacher at the sports school complex in Krapkowice, who removed a crucifix from the wall of the teacher's room at the state school. After the principal and the teaching staff expressed their clear opposition, the woman took the case on the court, accusing the principal of discrimination on the basis of lack of religious denomination. The woman also referred to the labor code provisions on psychological harassment. In September 2016, the district court in Opole concluded that the teacher had been discriminated against because of her views on adverted 5,000 zlotych damages and apology in the local media. In January 2017, the ruling was upheld by the Court of Appeal in Wrocław. The Supreme Court took the same position. In 2020, an extraordinary complaint was filed by the General Prosecutor, claiming that the ruling of the Court of Appeal in Wrocław should be regarded inconsistent with the principles, freedoms, and rights under the Constitution of the Republic of Poland. The case is still pending. To summarize the current legal regulation, as well as the position expressed in the rulings of the justice system, the following conclusions should be drawn. 1. The presence of the religious symbols in educational institutions is a manifestation of religious freedom on behalf of every person, parent, children, and churches and religious association with a regulated legal situation. 2. The impartiality of authorities in the field of religious psychological and ideological beliefs obliges them to create conditions for their expression in public life, including school buildings. 3. The state authorities remain free in the matters concerning the presence of religious symbol in the public field. 4. In Polish law, we can find regulations that directly refer to the possibility of displaying crucifix in schools. And 5. The presence of religious symbol at school premises does not violate the rights of third parties. Thank you for your attention. Thanks, Professor.
Thank you, Marek, for your analysis concerning religious symbols in the Polish educational law.